recorded the last minutes of George Floyd's life on a video that led to the arrest of the 4 police officers who are now charged with the murder of George Floyd. We now know that George Floyd said, "I can't breathe," more than 20 times as he struggled for air under a police knee in the last minutes of his life. That new count of how many times he said, "I can't breathe," comes from the transcripts of the police body cameras of 2 of the police officers who were holding George Floyd down, Officer Thomas Lane and Officer Alexander King. These transcripts were made public in court filings today in Minneapolis. We do not have the transcript of the body cam of Officer Derek Chauvin, who kept his knee on George Floyd's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. That knee was on George Floyd's neck long after all of the witnesses present could tell that George Floyd had stopped breathing. The very first thing George Floyd says in the transcript of Officer Lane's body camera recording is, "Hey man, I'm sorry." The next thing George Floyd says is, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." George Floyd's language is always polite. The transcript is filled with George Floyd saying sorry and please. The police officer's language begins very aggressively with those lines that they all learned in cop movies. "Officer Lane, put your effing hands up right now. Keep your effing hands on the wheel." To which George Floyd says, "Yes, sir. I'm sorry, officer." George Floyd continues to apologize. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. God dang, man, I got shot the same way, Mr. Officer, before. I'm so sorry, Mr. Officer. Dang, man, last time I got shot like that, Mr. Officer, it was the same thing." It's not completely clear if George Floyd was saying he had once been shot by a police officer, or if he possibly had been shot by someone else when he was approached while sitting in a car. George Floyd says, "Please don't shoot me, Mr. Officer. Please don't shoot me, man. Please, can you not shoot me, man? I'm sorry, Mr. Officer. I'll get on my knees, whatever." When Officer King says, "You're acting a little erratic," George Floyd says, "I'm scared, man." George Floyd says, "I'll do anything. I'll do anything. Y'all tell me anything y'all tell me to do. I'm not resisting, man. I'm not. Mr. Officer, I'm not that kind of guy. Please, I'm not that kind of guy. Mr. Officer, please. I won't do nothing to hurt you, Mr. Officer." George Floyd was afraid of getting in the police car, and the transcript seems to reveal why. George Floyd, "Yo, I'm gonna die in here. I'm gonna die, man. Officer King, you need to take a seat right now." George Floyd, "I just had COVID, man. I don't want to go back to that." George Floyd's autopsy showed that he had COVID-19 6 weeks before he was killed. He seemed to be afraid that going in a police car and being taken to a jail would give the coronavirus another chance to kill him. George Floyd says, "I'm not trying to win. I'll get on the ground, anything. I'm not a bad guy, man." Officer Lane says, "Get him on the ground." George Floyd says, "Let go of me, man. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Please, man. Please listen to me. Please listen to me." Officer Tao, "Just lay him on the ground." George Floyd, "I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe." Officer Lane, "Jesus Christ." George Floyd, "I can't breathe." Officer Lane, "Thank you." George Floyd, "I can't breathe." Officer King, "Stop moving." George Floyd, "Mama, mama, mama, mama." Officer King, inaudible. George Floyd, "Mama, mama, mama. Mama, mama, mama." Officer Chauvin, "You're under arrest, guy." George Floyd, all right. Oh my God, I can't believe this. I can't believe this." Officer Chauvin, "So you're going to jail." Officer Lane, affirmed. George Floyd, "I can't believe this, man. Mom, I love you. I love you." Officer Lane, inaudible. George Floyd, "Tell my kids I love them. I'm dead." George Floyd, "I can't breathe or nothing, man. This cold-blooded, man." He then screams. Officer Chauvin says, "You're doing a lot of talking, man." George Floyd, "Mama, I love you. I can't do nothing." Officer King, "EMS is on their way." George Floyd, "My face is gone. I can't breathe, man. Please, please, let me stand, please, man, I can't breathe. George Floyd, my face is getting it bad. Officer Lane, here, should we get his legs up or is this good? Officer Chauvin, leave him. Officer King, just leave him, yep. Officer Chauvin, just leave him. George Floyd, please, man. Officer Tao, relax. George Floyd, I can't breathe. Officer King, you're fine, you're talking fine. Officer Lane, you're talking, deep breath. George Floyd, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. I'll probably just die this way. Officer Tao, relax. George Floyd, I can't breathe. My face, I can't breathe. Please, I can't breathe. George Floyd, my stomach hurts, my neck hurts, everything hurts. I need some water or something, please, please. I can't breathe, officer. Officer Chauvin, then stop talking, stop yelling. George Floyd, you're gonna kill me, man. Officer Chauvin, then stop talking, stop yelling. It takes a heck of a lot of oxygen to talk. George Floyd, come on, man. Oh, I cannot breathe, I cannot breathe. They'll kill me, they'll kill me. I can't breathe, I can't breathe. Oh, and then George Floyd says, please, please, please. And he never spoke again. The last word that George Floyd said was please. As George Floyd remained motionless and apparently not breathing, spectators who had been yelling at the police officers for several minutes to stop what they were doing to George Floyd started to yell even more, and one spectator who could see how dangerous the police treatment of George Floyd was kept yelling at them to check George Floyd's pulse. He kept telling the police officers that George Floyd was not resisting and that he was no longer responsive. And with George Floyd motionless and silent for almost 2 minutes, that spectator then yelled at Officer Chauvin, who still had his knee on George Floyd's neck. And that spectator said, he's not even breathing right now, bro. You think that's cool. You think that's cool, right? Officer Chauvin then checked how the other police officers were doing. Officer Chauvin, you guys all right though? Officer Lane, yeah. I mean, my knee might be a little scratched, but I'll survive. We'll be right back.